Okay, let's look ahead to our captains. Yeah, I mean, the matrix shows that De Bruyne, Salah, Mane were the captains that we previously highlighted at this point. I hadn't highlighted Vardy. I've got him fourth on that list against Fulham. Maybe that's a disservice to him. We'll look at the data for this week in a minute. But going forward, looking ahead, Salah comes in game week 12. That's the problem game week, because we're not going to captain Spurs assets at Palace, we don't think. That's often a difficult ground to go to. Vardy's got Brighton though, so if you've got Vardy, you've got the alternative there in game week 12. Yep. But it's United versus City, so it shuts down Fernandes and De Bruyne as options possibly. So game week 12 is the next problem week, I would say. That's where you've got to start looking at your transfers and have a plan in mind. And then game week 14 looks a problem. Looking down at that, Fernandes at home to Leeds looks a standout. Other than that, you're looking at Kane and Son at home to Leicester. Salah and Mane are at Palace, which I guess you would go to. De Bruyne and Sterling at Southampton and Grealish at West Brom. So there's Fernandes is by far the standout candidate there, which is another reason why I look at this and think it's going to be De Bruyne who makes way for Salah, not Fernandes for that game week in mind. So that's worth planning ahead. Let's look at game week 10, and I mean this data seems to kind of come on the side of Vardy in terms of the captaincy. It certainly doesn't look good for De Bruyne. Looking at minutes per XGI non-penalty, De Bruyne's down there on 184 minutes per goal involvement non-penalty, and right at the top you've got Calvert-Lewin 112, Mane 121, Kane 129, Jota's on there 135.9, Vardy's only on 173.3. But when you look at the defences, the Fulham defence is by far the weakest on show, along with Leeds. So they are conceding an expected goal every 61 minutes, whereas you look at Burnley, they're at 83.3, and you look at obviously Southampton, Chelsea, they're 87 minutes and 109.6, so they're far tighter. So we expect Fulham to give Leicester a lot of opportunities and Leeds to give Everton a lot of opportunities. So Calvert-Lewin and Vardy look the standouts, and you're going Vardy.
Yeah, and you're going KDB, so it's a nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like Vardy. I mean, I kind of expected a bit more from him against Liverpool, to be honest. I thought Leicester were really poor in that game. I thought they would put Liverpool under some pressure. Makeshift backline, Milner in there and Jones in midfield and Matip and stuff. But they never really looked threatening at all. And Liverpool just coasted to the win in the end. So they've had injuries and they've got to kind of address that. And I think it's a perfect game for them. So yeah, I'm quite excited to have Vardy in this one.
Yeah,
first time owning him this season.
Minutes per shot in the box, 40.6, which is low compared to the likes of Salah on 27.7 and even Jota on 30.3. So Vardy stats doesn't look great, but it's not about him, his data. It's all about Fulham. And so, yeah, I mean, having watched Fulham against Everton, I mean, the opportunities they gave up and the room, that they had out wide and with Calvert-Lewin in the middle, it's just how effective that Leicester attack is going to be, and can they exploit it?
I'd be amazed though if Vardy didn't get at least a goal in that game.
Yeah,
but I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be like so shocked to my core if De Bruyne blanked against Burnley. But I would be shocked to my core if Vardy blanked against Fulham.
I haven't got Sivert's captain. I forgot to ask him, so I will get that and I will tweet that out. So look out for the tweet on that, because this is a pivotal week. Definitely, so I want to know. I think it is De Bruyne. I think it's going to be because he got De Bruyne in, and I think he will play the same game as me. I mean, I'm copying him if anything, going with the fixture. I mean, I'm captaining De Bruyne on reputation, really, on historical data, and the fact that I presume that City eventually will click, and I hope it's going to be this game. So I'm taking a risk, which sounds odd, but De Bruyne at home to Burnley, in the context of what options we've got with Calvert-Lewin and Vardy, looks a risk, which is extraordinary. Yeah. And we haven't even talked about Salah at Brighton. So this is a big week for the captaincy, and it could go wrong for me. And I'm taking a hit as well, so this could be I could be a red arrow, staring at a red arrow here. So
there's so many players who could do well this week. This week is awful, and it almost feels like it's the worst week to be taking a hit because I kind of feel like every point is so precious. I mean, you look at Calvert-Lewin against Leeds. I really like the look of that game. Salah's going to be back and captained by loads of people against Brighton, which is a great game. Fernandes, great away record, highest point scorer ever, as you showed earlier. De Bruyne, Sterling, Vardy. There's so many picks. Like, it's so hard to choose who's.
And Fernandes at Southampton could do it away from home. Been so effective. So there's 6 or 7 good captaincy candidates and not much between them. Well, what can we say? We're on the FPL show tomorrow, and we're probably being asked about this captaincy. We're going to have to come up with something more convincing than what we've just said there.
People don't like it when we sit on the fence.
Well, I guess we're
not.
not.
I think Vardy is the best pick.
It's the standout.
That would be my not sitting on the fence. So yeah.
And I guess I'm tied into De Bruyne, having spent the having gone Son out to De Bruyne. I've got to back him. I can't go back on that. That was always my plan. Absolutely. I've got to follow that through, and I can't let City's form so far. I mean, that City are still creating chances, second only to Liverpool for chances created. So they're having shots. They're just the quality is not good enough. But I've got to think against a team they've beaten 5-0 the last 3 times with the same manager and most of the same players.
Oh yeah,
you'd expect them to get 2 or 3 goals. So we'll see.